Feels good. Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome to my channel, Do Ministry Gaming, and we finally did it. We finally farmed ourselves a Headhunter for the 3.14 Ultimatum League, and in this video, I'm going to share with you the currency manufacturing strategy that I used in order to afford this belt. All right, so the strategy is crafting cluster jewels. There's one very specific cluster jewel that I was crafting over and over and over again. I think I crafted maybe 60 or 70 of these jewels over the last 4 or 5 days. Basically, anytime I wasn't streaming, I was sitting in my hideout crafting these jewels, and it took a really long time. It is a grind, I will tell you, but it was extremely profitable for me, especially in this league when everything has felt a little underwhelming. I haven't gotten any crazy drops. I couldn't put a handle on specific mapping strategy that was, making me bank. And so I was really struggling this league in terms of farming the currency for this Headhunter. But I thought long and hard after I decided I want the Headhunter, and I landed on this particular jewel that I wanted to manufacture over and over again. And I'm going to show you exactly what that craft here today is. Now, a huge disclaimer, okay? While the last 4 or 5 days, while I was farming this Headhunter, the margins have been very good for this particular jewel. And currently, as of the making of this video, the margins are still there for this jewel. If even a few people who watch this video start to manufacture these jewels the way that I have, the market for these is going to tank quite quickly, and the margins are going to thin out quite rapidly. Okay, and so if you're thinking about doing the same thing that I am here in this video, I would just word of caution, keep those expectations in check. Because it really isn't going to take much. Honestly, it'll take 2 people who walk away from this video to decide they want to manufacture these jewels, and the market is going to thin out by half. Your margins are going to thin out by half at least immediately. And so just make sure to keep those expectations in check. Now, if you want to jump right into it, I do have timestamps in the description below to each of those crafts, or really the one craft and then a side craft. A little bit of background on this Headhunter. The 8 Doctor cards I did have to buy all of them. I didn't drop any. I didn't gamble any. I bought them all at quite exorbitant prices. They were all 16 to 17x. I didn't get any early in the league for 12 or 10x, nothing like that. So the total belt did cost me about 130 exalts to craft or to get. And I decided I wanted to get one about 5 or 6 days ago, maybe a week ago now. So it wasn't an immediate goal for me in the first 2 weeks of the league. I don't know why. It really should have been. I wasn't thinking I was going to get one this league for some reason, but then changed my mind when the prices had skyrocketed already. So I missed out on some cheap cards. So I did have to get 130 exalts to get this belt. Now, when I decided I wanted one, I had enough currency in the bank from just mapping and doing my regular thing for about 3 or 4 doctor cards. We'll just round up to 4. I don't think I quite had 4 doctor cards worth of currency, but I will say I had about 4, so half. And so the other half I farmed in the last week. That's 65 exalts worth by crafting these cluster jewels. Really, that's all I did. And I will share that with you right away here. All right, so the craft and the very specific jewel that I was crafting is these ones here. They are the medium cluster jewels with the 2 notables, Astonishing Affliction and Cold Conduction, okay? This jewel is really popular right now because there is a particular mechanic called self-chill that has been all the rage lately, and a lot of people are trying it, myself included. I've taken my elemental hit character and just added in self-chill to it just to see what it was like. I'll do a video on that at some point to show you kind of the results and whether it's good or not with the elemental hit. And so anyway, these jewels are a part of that build, really core to that build, and a lot of people are buying them. And they have been selling for anywhere between 1.4 exalts to 2 exalts each, okay? And I guess I'll just jump into numbers. It probably costs on average about 0.6 to 0.8 exalts to actually craft one of these jewels, and you're selling them for 1.4 to 2 exalts. So, you know, when the prices are bad, I'm making about, we'll call it half an exalt worth of profit. And when the prices are good, I'm making 1+ exalts in profit. And so there was a, you know, these jewels have been going up and down in price. But there was a day where I got pretty lucky. I think I was basically the only one supplying the market with these jewels, and I was selling them at the 1.92x. Every jewel I could craft was selling almost immediately as soon as I finished crafting it. And so, you know, I sold maybe like 20 that day and was making, you know, 1.5 exalts per jewel. And so how do you craft these? It's really simple. You actually just take a medium cluster jewel. Obviously, cluster jewels go from 4 to 6 passive skills. So you want one that is either 4 or 5 maximum. 4 and 5, I don't know if everyone knows this, but the difference between 4 and 5 doesn't matter. It still only takes 4 skill points to get everything you need on the cluster jewel. It's only the 6th where it makes, you know, requires you to have 1 more skill point. So 4 and 5 are agnostic. It doesn't matter which you grab. And you're basically crafting this jewel until you get these 2 mods. Now, there is a way to improve your odds of actually hitting these 2 mods, okay? And that is by getting a jewel that is less than item level 75, because these 2 mods exist in the pools below 75. And as soon as you hit 75, there's extra mods that can roll on the jewel that you don't want, okay? So you want to have an item level less than 75, but you also want an item level over 68, because 68 is the one that is required for one of these two. I think it's called Conduction to get. So long story short, you want to buy these jewels between item level 68 and 74, adds 4 to 5 passives, 10% increased effect of non-damaging ailments. Those are the base jewels you need to buy. It doesn't matter what else is on them, just buy them. Now, the craft is very simple. Why don't I just walk you through one of these? Basically, you are rolling these jewels until you hit one of the 2 mods and then regaling for the other, okay? So these mods are prefixes, and so something like fire resist is a suffix, so anytime I roll to one of these, I would just augment it, and then if I don't hit, I keep going, and you keep going until you hit one of the 2 mods. You're going to see Astonishing Affliction way more than Cold Conduction. It is a very common roll, so anytime you see one of these, if it doesn't already have a suffix on it also, you need to augment that, because then your regal will randomly give you either a prefix or a suffix. So in this case, I got the elemental resist, and then you hit it with the regal, and you're hoping for the other mod that you didn't roll. Now, if you didn't hit it, you just scour, and then you transmute, and you start all over. And so I've got the suffix there. I hit it, no, nothing, and then you keep going. This is a suffix, and you keep alteration spam and augmenting until you hit that either cold conduction or astonishing affliction. And I think I broke my mouse doing this. I've clicked so much. But anyway, astonishing affliction. I've got the suffix regal, and you're hoping for that other one. Okay, it takes a while. Okay, it takes about I would say 0.6 to 0.8 exalts worth of materials in order to do this. So if you want some more specific numbers, let's say around alterations, usually I buy them sort of 900, 1,000 at a time. So if I were to buy 900 alterations for 300 chaos orbs, okay, that's 2x plus the regals, augmentations, scourings, and transmutes. That's probably about another half x. So in about 2.5x worth of mats, I'll usually get about 2 to 3 jewels. Probably closer to 3 jewels on average. And so 3 jewels at 1.92x each, you're talking about 5.7 to 6 exalts on 2.5 exalts worth of investment. Okay, that's the average. Okay, I've had some very dry stretches. I've bought 900 alteration orbs and gotten 1 jewel before. Okay, that's where you lose money, but you always like over the long run. I mean, I did like 50, 60, 70 of these jewels. Okay, over time, it's all going to work out to the average. I've gotten lucky, I've gotten unlucky. And I would say the average is every time I spend 900 alterations, 2.5x worth of mats, I'm making about 3 joules, which is about, depending on market value, anywhere between 5 and 6x worth of value. And so sort of 2.5 to 3x of profit every time I do one of those sessions like that. Okay, so I would say, I've sold these joules at 1.4x, I've sold them at 1.9x, anywhere between 1.8 and 2x, it is extremely profitable. My Exalt stack was just going up like crazy. Okay, it feels really good. When it's down to 1.3 to 1.4x, sometimes you're questioning how good this is, especially if you're hitting longer than average to actually hit one of these joules. It can feel quite bad when you're only selling for that 1.3 to 1.4x. And so that half x per joule or more, even like 0.76, 0.7x per joule, is a massive difference on how profitable this is. That's how I feel. And so, if this ever dropped back to 1.3, 1.4x, it was only a very short period where it did. I would not do this. And anytime it's above 1.7 even, I would definitely kick back into gear and start doing this again. All right, so the second part of this cluster joule crafting video is a strategy that's already fairly out there, fairly common. Lots of other streamers have said this as well, and that's harvest crafting your cluster joules. And so basically when you come across your harvest crafts, a lot of times, a lot of people don't know what to do with these lightning, fire, cold crafts. They're, on your armor and your gear and stuff. There doesn't seem to be a very good way to use them. And I'm talking about the reforges, so the ones I'm showing here in my station. But a really good way to use them is to use them on cluster joules. Now you can use them on a variety of cluster joules, but what I do, and what I've heard some other streamers do as well, or recommend, is that you should have large cluster joules for each of the elements. Okay, so lightning, fire, and cold. I've got 3 here to show you. So have one of each of these in your stash ready to go, and make sure they're 8 or 9 passive skills, just like the medium cluster joules. 8 or 9 doesn't matter, but after 9 it does. So make sure it has 8 or 9. And then when you come across one of these crafts in Harvest, just match the elements. So if you have a lightning craft, put a lightning joule in here and craft the lightning. And I do them on large cluster joules because they're the ones that can roll the 3 notables. And when you do, anytime you hit 3 notables, it sells for usually pretty good, especially at this point in the league. And so those are good to roll on. Of course, there are other joules that you can craft on as well. The medium cluster joule with fire damage over time multiplier has been particularly good lately as well. I think a lot of people are needing them for Burning Arrow or whatever meta builds that they're playing right now. So those are in large demand. So you can craft those as well. I just personally craft the large cluster joules, but the bottom line is pick the joules with the elements that match these elements, and then craft the same element on the same ones. And then finally, there's also the minion joules. I'd recommend having one of these as well for the Reforge Life rolls. Life is another one that I myself don't really know what to do with. And so rolling them on minion joules are actually very good. If you didn't know, a lot of the minion notables on these joules are actually life tags. And so having life rolls on them will give it a high chance of rolling the notables. And just like all these other ones, if you hit 3 notables, it will sell very easily. I sold a 3 notable minion joule the other day for 2x instantaneously. And so I put my life rolls on those. All right, guys, that's it for this video. Those are sort of the 2 main cluster joule strategies that I use to farm my Headhunter, which I will proceed to not use now as I'm running a self-chill build, which requires this belt here. Again, I'll talk about it in some future video on my character, but this will probably sit in my stash for a little bit. But once I'm all said and done with this test here anyway, I am definitely gonna be finding some way to use both self-chill and Headhunter at the same time. I do think it's possible. And so that will almost certainly be the next thing that I try, since I have this now and it's just sitting here. Fortunately, the price is not going down on these quite yet. They're actually going up, so I'm okay sitting on this one. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, as usual, please like and subscribe. I also stream on Twitch Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. Times are in the description below. Come and hang out. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.